Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. So sorry if I wasn't able to put you in a breakout room. I seem to had a little challenge, but apologies. I believe the next webinar will have a very good networking session. So I will make sure we get everyone in every single breakout room. So sorry if you're not able to engage in a breakout room session. Apologies. So thank you all so much for participating. I'm sure we have some LinkedIn connections out of this breakout room. I hope we have built some new connections in there, and maybe some new businesses will start coming out. Hopefully, then you can say because of Stanley, and you can come give me a thank you, and I always say you're welcome because I'll be very excited that because of me, you've gotten a contract. So why not? So thank you all so much for engaging in the brief networking session. They're so excited. So just to get straight into it, we're going to turn our attention directly into the conversation for today. So we know artificial intelligence is no longer the stuff that is so strange to us because it's here, it's happening now. It's shaping a lot of our decisions we are making. It's shaping a lot of assignments we are getting done. It's shaping a lot of things we are getting done. And we cannot afford to have some people left behind because it's going to cause a lot of more harm than good if some people are left behind on getting abreast with AI. And more importantly, we can't afford to have the creativity that the curiosity and the intelligence that's going to be excluded in shaping this future we want to create for the youth we have in Africa. So today's session is going to help us explore how we can use AI not just as a tool for automation, but as a canvas for creativity. And it has to do with the question, how can we empower young girls and boys to use AI design, to imagine, and to lead in this digital age? So our speaker today is uniquely positioned to answer this question very well. William Jackson is an award-winning educator, technologist, speaker, and mentor with over 3 decades of experience in public education, technology training, and community empowerment. 3 decades. I think I'm not too sure even if my lifespan is up to 3 decades, but maybe we'll do the calculations later. I'll do the calculations and come tell you guys. So William Jackson holds a bachelor's degree in education and a master of arts in teaching with a focus on educational technology, social media, and STEM, which is a powerful fusion of science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics. So William has designed and delivered hands-on project-based learning experience at all levels, from elementary school to higher education. His teaching integrates the cutting edge from AI and virtual reality to the metaverse and the IoT. That's the Internet of Things. And he has served as a technology consultant with Florida Department of Education, an instructor for NASA. Wow. An instructor for NASA's tech programs, and a university lecturer at institutions in the United States and in Kenya. But his most powerful work may be in how he inspires his students to be bold, to be imaginative, and to use technology not just to consume content, but to tell their stories, solve real problems, and change the world. Mr. Jackson is just awesome. So please join me in welcoming to our digital stage, William Jackson. So ladies and gentlemen, your speaker, Mr. Jackson, your audience. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Okay, so with that introduction, I'm done for the day. So I don't even need to talk. Thank you very much.
We need you too. We need you too.
It's wonderful to come before you this day. And let me explain something before we get started. This is a an extension of a wonderful day from yesterday. And the reason I tell you that, because we had a chat going on earlier today with the time difference in WhatsApp. And my wife Aida is here, and I just want to say thank you and appreciate all her love and support. But she gifted me um, last year a gift that was from Ancestry.com. So if you know what Ancestry.com is, you can send in your DNA and have your DNA evaluated, and they will tell you basically where your past heritage has come from or is coming from, and your how your DNA relates to different parts of the world. So, oh, thank you for the young man that's doing sign language. So I've had a passion for Africa for years, and a lot of my work is centered on Africa's growth and rising and development as a teacher. And as the young man said, I've been teaching over 30 years, mostly in the area of STEM and STEAM education, and then of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. But since 2021, 2020, my wife and I have integrated virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and as the young man said, IoT, the Internet of Things, where the relationship of humans and technology are blending and working together. And we collectively provide workshops and trainings across the spectrum, from elementary school to university to adults. And during the course of the years, we found that you have several spectrum of technology. You have people that embrace technology because they understand the importance and value, and they enjoy the opportunity for research and development. But you also have the middle spectrum where people are still concerned about privacy, security, being able to take that content and apply it to what they like to do and their careers and even recreation, to those that don't want to have anything to do with technology at all. So you run across a broad spectrum. So over the years, to bring everyone to a similar understanding, we've created several programs. And our programs are hands-on project development, hands-on engagement. So what we like to do, first of all, before we do anything, we ask everybody to hold up their phone. There we go. There it is. Okay, so if you have your phone with you and you can hold it up, or even if you don't have your phone with you, you can pretend you're holding up a phone. And we like to engage the community first with this. And the first thing I like to say is, as I say this, to repeat after me. So first of all, this can be, so everybody say, this can be my best friend
Best
or my
friend
worst enemy.
or my worst enemy.
All right. And the reason we have people say that, because depending on the content that you post using your smartphone is also going to determine how people see you, how they treat you, how they react to you, how it can influence your future endeavors in education and professions. So when we say this can be your best friend or worst enemy, it's dependent on many factors that determine how you use the technology. So the technology in smartphones extends multiple ways. It can extend from young people from as young as my granddaughter, who isn't even 2 yet, who knows how to flip through her mom's phone and find her YouTube videos for her music. She's developmentally advanced for her age, but you find many young people, or I should say children and toddlers, that are using technology, and you have to be aware of, no matter what the age, it's kind of like giving the keys to your car to a young person, but not giving them any driving experience or teaching them anything related to that. And this is indicative of, now with so much AI technology embedded into phones that even toddlers that may have a limited degree of language development, but that can still talk, can input data and information and ask questions into your smartphone. So just think of how this can enhance the ability to communicate, enhance the ability to learn different things, enhance the ability to understand the global world. And we always encourage a global perspective of the world, but also the dangers related to personal information being out on not just the internet, but now we're talking about immersive environments. We're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about the IoT, Internet of Things. So as we're having this conversation, and I encourage you as well, if you have questions as we go through, if you want to put some questions in the chat, I'm sure there's people that can monitor and help me out with the chat to answer the questions you may have, because we always like to engage in conversations. Even through my experience as a teacher and as a business owner and my wife, as we work together, there's always room to work. There's always room to collaborate, and there's always room to have fun. A lot of times people get caught up in the technology, but they forget that sometimes your imagination and innovation and creativity contribute to you enjoying the technology and using it and applying it so many different ways. And the use of your ideas in your brain and your head and imagination can excite the use of these different technologies. So in my earlier iterations as a teacher, I always share this to put people at ease as well. I used to be a health and physical education teacher in elementary education, and I just happened to get bit by the technology bug. And how could I use technology in what I'm doing as a teacher? And it just grew from there because I started taking classes, I started going to workshops, I started to network with people in those areas of technology to gain my knowledge and my understanding. That's beneficial because what happens is the human aspect of it, the more you engage in a particular community, the more your mindset develops the language and understanding of that community. So I'll give you an example. My bachelor's degree was in health and physical education. So I understood how to teach children or young students in elementary how to dribble a basketball, catch a ball, how to kick a soccer ball, how to throw a football, how to play tennis, how to do all of those sports skills, um, uh, minor manipulation with the hands, using tracking and eye tracking, how to catch a ball, how to keep them safe. In some cases, even teaching them to ride a bicycle. This even still relates to what's going on today because you understand the language of how to do that. So you understand the language. When you're shooting a basketball, you shoot from your fingertips, not your whole hand. You understand the language. When you're throwing a football, you wrap your fingers around the football near the back, not the front or the middle, to control the football. When you're kicking a soccer ball, you control the level of force that you use to kick the soccer ball because you may want it to only go a certain way in a certain direction. You take that content, and the more you use it, you understand those dynamics of those sports. Now, you take that concept and you bring it over to technology. And many people, when we have conversations, are perplexed a little bit. Well, how can you take that concept from sports and bring it into technology? Well, the blending of the understanding that the more of the terms that you hear about technology, the more your brain understands that, oh, I can take this piece of information and relate to using tech. So just using smartphone, okay? We know what apps are. Apps are little programs that we can download to our phone or tablet or our laptop or our desktop. So can you remember when was the first time that you heard the word app and didn't understand it? Or can you remember when you heard the term application when it related to computers and had no clue what that meant. But the more you heard it, the more you exposed to it, then it's like, hey, it clicked in your brain. This is what an application is, a program. This is what an app is. I can download it to my phone. So that iteration or that growth from one aspect to technology to another is beneficial. Many people around the world, and this is directly related to Africa as well, have gained an understanding of what the internet is. So when we're talking about the internet and someone asks you directly, so what is the internet? So many people may not have the concrete understanding of the internet, but they understand the term and they understand that they can access the internet. So it's so sophisticated that our devices, not just these devices, can access the internet, but any device that has access to wireless technology or fiber optic technology can gain access to the internet. Many of us have what's called Alexa. Alexa, play my favorite music. Alexa hears you, which has a form of artificial intelligence, goes out on the internet, finds the music that you like, and plays it. Wonderful technology. We may not understand it all the way, but we're happy it works. Or Alexa, find a recipe to make jollof rice. Aida and I, we recently did a workshop with students about jollof rice across Africa. And it was so wonderful. We learned so much history about where jollof rice came from, how important it was to particular empires at that time, the many iterations of vegetables and meats and flavors and seasonings and spices that different cultures across the continent used to make jollof rice. And the students that we were teaching, they were so excited that they wanted to go home and they wanted to make jollof rice. Many of them at the time here in the States, when we were teaching this lesson, did not really know about it because they lacked the exposure. But once we taught that lesson, oh my gosh, they were just so blown away. They wanted to try so much. And we got reports back from parents. It's like, oh, thank you for teaching our children, jollof rice and what was in it. And many of them understood their cultural backgrounds and could relate to that. Others that were from different cultures related something similar. So that blending and using of technology is beneficial. Just to give a little perspective, Aida and I, for 3 years, taught at an elementary school in Nigeria, in Warri County, Nigeria, for about 3 years. And we covered many aspects of technology, culture, science, technology, engineering, arts, using laptop technology, using YouTube videos. And everything was project-based. We as the instructors learned so much from the students that we were able to take that content that we learned from them and make additional curriculums to teach students in the future. So when we were talking about, interesting enough, the space program, that many of them, because of their age and lack of exposure, didn't realize that there were 21 nations on the continent of Africa that actually had space programs. And not only that, Nigeria, Tanzania, and I believe Egypt, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, partnered with NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and had a rocket launched into space with a satellite that they are using to look at the agriculture across those countries, weather patterns, scientific experimentation, of course, some military aspects. But teaching these elements to students and how technology can help them open up new career ideas in their minds. But it also showed the relationship and the value of getting a good foundational education, but also learning as much technology as possible. Taking it to another level, there's a school called Z-Tech University in Kenya. I believe it's in Nairobi. We did last year a workshop in February for the students where we showed them the blending of web development with WordPress also the iterations of AI, artificial intelligence, and VR, virtual reality, where we show them the blending of it and how it helps them with their research and development in their curriculums. Why is this important? Because many times we need to show our young people there's not just one way to get information and value that information. So you blend the technology that's available. So using virtual reality, we are VR and AI certified educators, and we are able to take curriculums and blend those content to create hands-on project development where the students are working on projects. They're not focusing on taking a test, but they're focused on creating and involving each other. And as my wife says, it's important for them to still learn those soft people skills where they communicate with each other, where they collaborate with each other, where everyone sees everyone else as valuable and viable to connect with each other and help each other learn and grow and finish the product. Across Africa, there are more and more companies that are growing in these areas of technological integration. And some of the key elements that they want to make sure that their employees have are one, communication skills, being able to communicate and talk, being able to ask questions, being able to take that information during a dialogue and discussion and take it with them to formulate aspects of strategically applying to creating elements that will help them accomplish a task. Also understanding that everybody in a team is important and worthwhile in their expressing of their ideas and their background experiences. So these are very important. If you're in the business community now, you understand that when you're having your meetings and you're collaborating, everybody has a say or should have a say or should be involved. We're seeing more and more girls and women getting involved in technology because obviously their creativity is more expressive and they have a better grasp of the concept of working together and collaborating. One of the things that we have found through working with multiple groups and research is that women have this unique ability to be able to collaborate on a level where they combine their cognitive abilities, but also their ability to work together to form a coalition or blend together to solve a complicated task or development. This is not saying that men do not have that same those same concepts, but theirs is at a different level. So taking technologies like AI, and we're going to show you some in a minute, and blending them to understand that AI is a great psychological and cognitive energizer, and blending those technologies to help work together and solve issues and problems. There are many companies that are integrating it. I would like to say this, that there's a lot of discussion about AI taking jobs, and it must be remembered, AI is a tool. Just like with any tool, it's important and valuable for all of us to learn that tool. So valuable is it that across Africa, more and more nations in their educational programs are mandating that AI should be integrated from elementary education, secondary education, and university education. Here in the States, there is legislation that's being passed, again, that it's going to be mandatory for elementary, secondary, and university education here in the States to be able to teach young people, students, how to use that technology. And it goes back to critical thinking, higher order intellectual thinking, reasoning, creativity, innovation, and design and modeling. So when I say design and modeling, that goes back to building, designing, working together, and collaborating. So I'm gonna stop right there for a moment. If anyone has any questions, please either put it in the chat, or if my moderator could help me moderate any questions if someone wants to unmic, and we could
Yes.
ask a couple of questions and then move on. So my
Yes, yes,
thing is, don't be scared, don't be shy. All questions are valuable.
yes, most definitely. I'm here. So if you have any question, please put it in the chat box so we can just address it. Any question? Any question?
So to unmic or put your question in the chat, please feel
Yep.
free to do so. Okay, so it must mean I'm doing pretty good because there's no question. Okay.
Yes, 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 that's it.
Okay. All right. So let me start off by saying, with the development of AI, there's different levels of understanding AI. AI has been around since the 1960s. And in the 1960s, it was developed using that current technology with the ability to communicate. There was an effect called the ELIZA effect, and it related to people forming an emotional attachment to technology. So when the AI bot was initially created, it was found that people readily and easily started communicating with AI. So it wasn't at the level it is now. Most of it was what we call command line or typing. So someone would type in a question or a statement, the AI would react. They would continue to type in their information, and the AI would give feedback to that person. So in the initial stages, people felt really comfortable because they weren't being um, counseled by a person. They were being communicated with a computer. So just imagine someone sitting there, the more comfortable they felt sharing their personal experiences, their ideas, their challenges, they would make this emotional connection with a machine. The ELIZA effect resulted in that person feeling more comfortable communicating with a machine than with an actual person. So here you have the iteration of the growth of technologies and the advance. So not to burst anybody's bubble, but there's always the saying that what you think is new now has already been thought of and used and applied. So a lot of the things that we are learning about AI are now grown into where it's more interactivity. My wife and I, we use several types of AI, Perplexity, obviously Chat GPT, Pi.ai, and I know there are others that are out there. So one I'm going to show and demonstrate that I use for my writing and blogging is Perplexity, because I love the idea that Perplexity, when you're asking it a question, you can be as specific as possible, but also it will give you the citations related to your writing. So one of the things I want to show you is I'm going to share my screen, and I am going to bring up Perplexity, and also have what you call a prompt in Perplexity. So let me share my screen. Here we go. All right. So with Perplexity, there isn't any sound per se. You have your tools here where you can, use diction and speak and all of the ability to recognize your voice and research. You can attach files to Perplexity, um, where you can use that content in Perplexity to use it to formulate its output or its answering your questions and related to information. You can, now this is important because you can set sources for search. So if you have particular resources that you want Perplexity to, oh, go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So sorry, we had a mix up with the interpretation. So it was French interpretation, but you can still go on.
Okay. Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, we have people from different areas. So if there's something that you don't understand, please let the moderator know and I'll rephrase my statement. Thank you for that. All right. So these tools give you more flexibility in using Perplexity. So the first thing I want to say, anytime you're using an AI bot, do not be scared and think that you're not smart enough to use it. You are. It is a tool to help you. Like with any tool, the more you use it, the better you get. All right. Experiment. You're not going to break anything. You're not going to tear anything up. Nobody's going to come knocking on your door about anything. So just enjoy it. Because I write so much and I blog so much, I use Perplexity because at one time when I was using ChatGPT, it did not give me the citation for my resources. This actually does. So I'm gonna just keep it basic. So the question or prompt that I put in here is, how can African youth and teens apply AI to increase their technology knowledge? And I'm always specific about how many words. In 500 words, present this information to use in a blog. All right. So I'm making sure one, how can African youth and teens apply AI to increase their technology knowledge? And letting it know I went in 500 words, present this information to use in the blog. Now, the reason I tell it specifically for 500 words, and the most I'll go up to is maybe 800, because I'm going to read through the information it's going to present. But I also know that when I share this information, the average attention span of people when they're reading is about 3 to 4 to 5 minutes at max. So you have to be aware of the other person when they're reading it and also your time. The other part of this is I like to still input my ideas and experiences into the results from Perplexity. So when I click, it's going to take a few seconds and it's going to go out on the internet and research that information and come back and bring back this information. The first screen was the resources that it went to, and it posts up here. And the sources, it goes to 23 sources. I haven't used the task, but I look at the sources that it went to make sure I understand where the information came from. All right. The other great thing about it is it will give you additional information about the links that it accessed to get this information. So it's interesting that this site is unpacking the potential of I guess the AI because it sends it to a site which you're looking at the little icon is based in Africa. This one is really interesting, exploring AI's potential to transform education in Africa. But this is from the MasterCard Foundation. So if I needed something related to monies, I know that's a good resource. This one is LinkedIn editors, and this one is YFlab, how artificial intelligence empowers African youth. So those are resources that it accesses, and I'm sure there's more. So as I go through here, it'll bring up my title, but it'll also present you with the findings that it found and that it composed. So engage in hands-on learning experience. These are the areas that Aida and I focus on because again, in academics for us, it's not just about testing, it's about the learning factor of using hands-on experiences to learn and apply knowledge. AI safari camps, teens in AI Africa. So the information is relevant to what I had in mind to present to people. All right. At the end, you'll usually get conclusion or final thoughts. Now, there are multiple ways to do this. All right. So I'm what's called old school. What I'll do is I'll either export it or I'll highlight it. As you can see, you can click and drag. And it came on for me. I'll highlight it and copy it and paste it into Microsoft Word or into Notepad. And that's important to understand because I still want to go into the document and read the document to make sure it shares what I wanted to share, but also I have the ability to edit it. So if there's something in here that I don't agree with, or it's not in line with what I'm trying to say or share in my document, I will take it out. Some of you may be thinking, well, why is that important? Because you can't always go and rely on everything AI says, because some information may not be true. This is why you always read the content and information it presents to you. And this is one of the things that we have to teach our young people, particularly in university and secondary school, because we know sometimes they get a little lazy and they just want the AI to do it all for them. But you look at the aspects of not only their reading, which supplements and helps their literacy, but also with their reading, they are comprehending what they're reading. The more you read, the more you know. The more you know, the more you grow. And the more it helps your comprehension. So even words that they have not been exposed to, they can understand the context of the information in here. All right. So these are some of the key elements to understand. My wife, being a business owner as well, relates the information that we understand that men think differently than women. Women are more expressive, women are more emotional. So when they're typing their information into Perplexity or Chat GPT or other elements, the output of what they're reading may not be exactly what they are thinking or feeling or rationalizing, but it's always good to go in and look at it, read it, reword your question or reword what you are trying to research and find information about. But like with anything, it's better to practice it, ask it serious questions, ask it funny questions, just ask it any kind of question and learn how it works and supplements your ideas. One of the things that I've done, and I'll do another one, is going back into Perplexity about your business. And my wife taught me this about asking AI about your business. So you can ask it, and I'll do it in 300 words. Tell me about my quest to teach from William Jackson, CEO. Right? So I blog on the platform of WordPress, and my blog is My Quest to Teach. So when I ask it, hey, I only want 300 words because I don't have a lot of time to go in there and read it. But tell me about My Quest to Teach from William Jackson, CEO. So again, it'll go out, it'll research the internet, it'll come up, and this is a cool feature, and it'll give you the citations for the information. So it says the sources, there's 18 sources out there. Here's the answer. Now, all of these elements up here, one are from LinkedIn, my LinkedIn site. Two, some of y'all may be familiar with Gatherverse. Gatherverse has online conferences as well in multiple subjects around the world. And actually it's taking information from my blog, My Quest to Teach. So it formulates this information. My Quest to Teach, founded and led by William Jackson, is an innovative educational initiative dedicated. And these are putting it in words way better than I could ever say. So it will formulate content based on the more you use it as well, and based on your growing experiences and understanding of what you want the world to understand about you. So it's saying science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and metaverse education, which we do, drawing on over 33 years of experience as a public educator, college professor, so forth and so on. And it gives you this wonderful information about my background as an educator, a writer, CEO, where I work. The initiative is particularly active in Africa, working virtually with students and educators in Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda, so forth and so on. The cool thing about this also are the citations placed in here. So if I take any of this information and I'm writing a dissertation or a research paper or doing research and development, I can have access to this content and use as a citing resource. And our university students need to understand that this process is great for them when they're doing their research, that they do have the citations available. They do have access to quotes, because often enough when I'm doing writing, I ask for quotes to verify that my knowledge of that person or that content or information is verifiable. The other part of this is related information as well. It will give you additional information at the bottom. What inspired William Jackson to start My Quest to Teach, and other elements, that's related to this information. So you can expand this beyond just asking it a single question, but also showing, hey, you can influence students' literacy, comprehension, and the ability for them to understand and apply and comprehend writing. So I'm going to stop right there. That was just one. Um, and I'm going to stop again. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Perplexity is really great for facts and research. Yes, it is.
Yes. And there was a question. Olivia wanted to know if Perplexity is fully free or there's a paid version.
There is a paid version. I mostly use the free version. I'm happy with it. There are paid versions that are out there in Perplexity, ChatGPT, and other iterations. It just depends on how intensely that you're using the product. My wife, she received her AI certification before I did, and she blends it with her writings, her artwork, and her business as a business consultant and the other things that she does as well as an artist. So the great thing about that is we blend the academic aspect with the business aspect, but also with the arts as well, because a lot of people are fearful of AI just totally destroying the arts community, which isn't going to happen because AI can only produce art from prompts that people put into the AI, but also the ability to go in there and re-input prompts. And remember, AI learns from us as well. So what you do on AI on a continuous basis, it learns from you as you learn from it.
Right. Okay.
Um, so we just covered Perplexity, which is a great tool. And again, my wife introduced it to me. I love the fact that it provides the citation. So that way, as I'm writing, as I'm doing research, that information is readily available. Now, when you're using others, you have to be careful of their tools built in. Some do help with citations, some don't. Some are great at graphics, some aren't. What I would recommend, if Aida doesn't mind, if Aida could put um, her LinkedIn in the chat. So if somebody has specific questions about different paid versions, they could reach out to her. So we mostly work as a team and we learn from each other. And I have to tell you, to be totally transparent, when I was writing or as I was writing and doing other projects, at first I was reluctant to using artificial intelligence, because my idea was I already had formulated in my mind what I wanted to write, how I wanted it to sound, how I wanted to present that information. But as she showed me and demonstrated that it could take my ideas and expand them even further than what I actually thought or what I actually thought I could do. So this is where you comes in as an artist, and I respect her perspective because she sees things differently than I do. As just mine was basically just mostly academic, but with what she told me with the ability to change from or blend academics with arts, it's a wonderful thing because that encourages me to be more creative. And in this day and age, we need to have more creativity into what we're doing because that also encourages us to have more, I guess I could say, more fun in what we're doing. Okay. Are there examples of apps that can help with graphics? Yes. If Aida could put in the chat what she uses for graphics, I hope that's okay. Because I always ask for her help and everything. So there's just so much out there. And I want to thank L&M Africa because this is a great resource for people to network. It is impossible to know everything. You can know a lot of things, but a network will expand your knowledge so many different ways. Now, I did say earlier that there was something really extra special about this, and I didn't forget. What is extra special about this is that my wife, that's my best friend, purchased what I said earlier was a DNA sample, DNA process where you can send your DNA and you can figure out where your culture's from. So I'm proud to say that I am 88% African. So that has great meaning to me. And I'm going to share my screen because this shows, and I got my results yesterday, that I am 30% Nigerian, 20%, and I know I'm going to say this wrong, I'm still trying to, Benin and Togo, 9% Cameroon, and there's other elements as well. But you can't imagine how excited and how happy I was to understand my DNA and my background and why I am so passionate about Africa. There are elements in the northern area and the Netherlands and Scotland as well. I guess that's the other portion of my DNA, but as you can see here in this graphic, it's wonderful to see the location. Most of it is right in here in Nigeria and these areas. And I'm so ecstatic and overwhelmed because it brings a more important value to the works that we do because it's wonderful to understand where your, like we say in the States, where your peoples are from. So I know my peoples are here. So we haven't traveled to Africa yet. We're looking forward to in the next couple of years to actually doing that and staying maybe a month because we've been told that once you travel, it's not a 1 day, 2 day, a week, maybe not a 2 week adventure. You need to plan for at least a month to go everywhere you need to go. So my wife is ready to do a whole bunch of shopping and stuff. I'm ready to do some exploring. And it's just wonderful to see, the connection that we have. Let me see if there's another question. My take on using AI in schools. Okay, so my initial take on using AI in schools is teach the children how to use it, whether they're in elementary school, middle school, and high school. Teach them because if they are not taught and mentored to use it, one, their friends will. So reflect back on when we were all children and we all did stuff we weren't supposed to do. We were experimenting on different things. We were going places we had no business to go. We were usually with our friends. So if our parents didn't teach us, who taught us? Our friends. And sometimes it wasn't always in a positive way. And sometimes we like prayerful, like, go, Lord, God, thank you for allowing me to survive what I went through with my friends. You know, we all have those memories, and this goes with technology too. You know, as you were talking about the phones, you know, this can be your best friend or worst enemy because now you can connect with the world. Young people, children particularly, they learn very fast because they are more connected. Their minds are more creative and imaginative, and it is imperative that we introduce them with caution, safety, and the ethical considerations of using those technologies. I've always been a proponent of professional development for youth, teens, and young adults, not just for teachers. Of course, teachers use it, but you think about the amount of learning that you get outside the classroom. You may learn different elements in school and understand processes, but when you leave that classroom, if there aren't continuous learning opportunities, you will either forget it or use it incorrectly. Case in point, my passion for Africa started way back in my fifth grade year in elementary school when my teacher taught us about Kenya. And the lesson was about Jomo Kenyatta and him being president of Kenya. Now, this was back in the 70s in fifth grade, so I'm 63. And even from that lesson, it still inspired me and encouraged me to learn more, as much about Africa as possible. And even doing, my wife and I had this conversation, the iteration of the time frame from 1974 to 1975 to 2016, when I started sponsoring people to attend WordCamp conferences. So in that timeline, this just was something that was within me to want to do. And I had such a passion. I didn't understand why. That's why I'm so thankful for my wife for getting that ancestry DNA test. So I understood this is why I feel the way I do in my relationship with Africa and excuse me, and wanting to contribute. So I encourage each of you to learn as much as possible. And even if you use AI to learn about your culture and your background and your language, because it is a phenomenal tool where you can just sit down and ask it questions and read and research, do your research about where you came from, where your parents came from, where your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents. The other thing I used to do during my writing was research Chinua Achebe. I used to research Wale Soyinka. I used to research Ngugi wa Thiong'o about their passion for intellectualism and learning. I used AI to tell me about them, but also reading their books as well. So I conceptualized the idea of how I can take their content, what they wrote about, and apply it to my relationship to academics and learning. And it's very powerful and very inspiring. I wanted to go into and show as well, let me close this out, another AI, and this one is called Notebook LM, notebooklm.google.com. All right, so in this one, now this is pretty cool to use because, and again, I guess you could tell who taught me about this one, and I'm so appreciative of her. So that must say something for us as men, that when our wives or those we're in a relationship with or girlfriends or whatever come and show us something, we need to listen to the ladies in our lives when they're trying to educate us and teach us something, gentlemen. So again, I was reluctant to using this. And my wife was like, come on, you can use it. This is how, this is how it's. So basically what you can do is all of these are related to blogs that I have written. But in Notebook LM, when you create a new language model, you have the opportunity to take text, You can do a link from a YouTube video or a video you created or something on your Google Drive. All these content grabbers, I call them content grabbers, that you can input in Notebook LM and it will create content for you like a podcast. So I just fell in love with it because I have several podcasts where I record myself on YouTube, but I also take my writings and input them in Notebook LM and listen to the conversation it creates. Okay. I want to be sure I have enough time with the moderator. Am I okay with time? Are we doing good?
Yeah, we are okay with time. We have about 5 minutes to
Okay.
go.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, thank you, sir. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into um, not chat GPT, that was wrong. I'm going to go into um, Perplexity. Let me bring this up. And I'm going to take the information I took from Perplexity, or did I close that? Okay, well, I'll use another one. So I'm going to go into Chat GPT because I already have something in here. And I'm going to copy the text and I'm going to paste it here into Notebook LM. So when I paste it into Notebook LM, let's make sure I move this out the way. I'm pasting in text. So when I paste the text in, oh, let's see, move this out the way. Here we go. Okay, so when I paste the text into Notebook LM, okay, here we go. I'm going to paste text, and it's just a plain text reader. So this is what I just took off of what was open in ChatGPT. Learning the basics of AI. AI might sound computer complex, but teens can start small and build up. So just like a couple of lines. So once I input that there, I'll insert into the application, and it's going to take this information and it's going to read it really, really fast, interpret it, understand it. It's also going to do what is called a deep dive. So this is AI taking your content and turning it into a conversation. All right. So this is a deep dive conversation. So depending on how long the text is, I'll come over here to generate. I will generate the conversation from just the amount of text. Now, this is a two-person conversation about the text that you just inputted in Notebook LM. Now, depending on how much text you put in will determine like how long it will create this, and it really doesn't take too long to do. But what I found is the more content you put in there, the longer it gets, but the conversation is so engaging that it's hard to believe that AI can create a conversational piece about the content that you created. Now, I would encourage you if you're in an environment where you're working with multiple people and multiple people have different ideas, to take content that they've written and created and develop writing first and putting it into Notebook LM to and generating a conversation on its content. So that way it understands the conversational ideas of how these programs or apps work together. So it also goes out across the internet and looks for sources of information to complement what it's going to develop and create. And then once it does that, it creates an audio content that you could listen to. You can take that audio content and you can download it to your computer and use it as a podcast. So now it's done. So I'm going to play it. So hopefully y'all can hear it. And it tells it's 5 minutes in English, and you can do different languages. All right. So here we go.
Hi, William. So the sound is not coming through. Maybe you could V-share and share sound.
Oh, the sound's not coming through?
No, no.
Okay, all right. So let's do this. Oh, I'll do it this way. So since it's not coming through this way, I'm going to download it to my computer. And then let me open it and play it from my computer. So let me stop sharing. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Da, da, da. So while I'm done, does anyone have any questions? Now this is okay. So this is a quick dive
Okay.
into doing this. So there was a question. Thank you. I used Google LM today. Okay, my only challenge was I could not generate the podcast for the second document I uploaded as a source. So what you'll probably have to do is separate the documents, which I think yes, you did. So if it doesn't generate the second document, close out Notebook LM and then open Notebook LM again to do a totally separate podcast. Because I've had to do that where it says you can input additional information, but sometimes that doesn't work. So just totally close it out and open it back up and repeat the process. Let's see if this. So I'll pause that. Were y'all able to hear at that time?
So House, if you have any question, please put it in the chat box.
All right.
Any
Okay.
question?
Hopefully I answered the challenge. So as it played, were y'all able to hear it?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, my
The question in the chat.
okay. All right. There's another one? Okay, is there an additional one? Because I think the one that was asked by Olivia, my suggestion is to, after you do your first one and you get your results, download your audio, close it out and open it back up again. Okay, and Aida says there's another question. Oh, there's one before that. Let's see. Uh, you take on,
You
okay.
take on AI schools, will it not take over learner-owned work by copy and paste?
Okay, so be careful about AI schools because one, AI still, I was looking at Aida. AI still hallucinates and doesn't always give factual or ethical information. It's a tool again. If someone is going to make the decision to be an AI teacher, you have to really be on your game about encouraging literacy, reading, comprehension, and not just copying and pasting, because those tools of the literacy component are very important because you're going to have students of different levels, and it is a good tool to use, but you have to be mindful of what sources it's accessing, how much of a level of understanding the student has, and setting strategies in place that everyone is sure to understand that it's not always truthful and honest. How will it, will it not take over learning on work by copy? It can do that. And even when I was teaching in middle school, I had projects the students were doing and they were copying and pasting. And I just reinforce that when you get into a position where you're a business owner, or you're working for a business or a company, somebody, someplace is going to read your information, and you place yourself in danger of either being disciplined or fired if your content and information is not truthful and honest. Even those artists that are out there using art, and I tell you, to be honest, I'm so amazed at Aida's ability to create AI art, but also blend her art with the AI art, but seeing the differences between artificial intelligence art and the creativity from somebody's mind. And just that AI art will not totally take the place of human art, but there will be a challenge where if you're an artist and you're reluctant to use AI, my suggestion is get over it. Get over it. Just get over it and embrace the tech, play with it, get comfortable with it, and take your ability to be an artist and be creative. But again, with anything, blend it with AI. And that's very important because we're in an era now where everything is blended and there's so many digital ecosystems. If students are using AI to do some of what they do in examination, what would they do? Well, how you have them use it to complete assignments is going to be representative in them taking an assessment as well. Because when you're creating an AI assessment, you're creating an assessment that's going to test their retention of information, not their ability to be creative. And as a teacher of 30 years, that was one of the things I hated. I shouldn't say hate, but that was one of the things I didn't like, because tests were based on rote memorization, them memorizing information as opposed to being creative and using it and building and design and modeling. So when you create an AI assignment, don't just base it on them memorizing information. You want to base it on their ability to be imaginative, innovative, and creative. Because those same concepts that they're learning from you, that's the same thing that they're going to take into different industries, and industries over the years, even here in the United States, are always talking about our new employees aren't creative. We have to tell them all the time what to do. They don't know how to manage their time. When we're having conversations with them, they don't know how to communicate. So that's one of the things that the world is struggling with, using what Aida says, those soft people skills, where when you ask them a question, they can reply and answer back to you and be able to communicate comfortably. And you may have to have some professional development for them to understand how to do that and how to manage that content and information. This is a beautiful time to embrace and learn the technology because it's not going anywhere. But also, this also shows now that creativity is so valuable and is so important. Innovation, how to be innovative, how to use data and align it and apply it. My best example is the young man here that is sign languaging. He's listening to what I'm saying and he has to interpret it, but he also has to translate what I'm saying into language that is sign language. So just imagine on his part, the ability for him to comprehend and understand and translate. I'm myself personally is just amazed. And I thank God for him, because his abilities are, if you look at it, if you apply that to AI, a student gives AI their information, AI almost instantly interprets it, understands it, gives it back, but that student still has to read it. And not just student, but employee at a business or company still has to read it, comprehend it. And if there's something that needs to be changed, they have to be mindful enough to change it and adapt it themselves without calling their boss or their department head or whatever. So you still have to have those skills. One more question is, or statement. I think using AI on the outside is great because there are very little or no restrictions. That's true. Can you please elaborate on how we can use AI for academic research in a way that we will not fall into the issues of plagiarism? Again, using tools like Perplexity that gives you the citation, teaching your students, it is important that they learn how to cite their resources and understand the value and importance of multiple resources to bring credibility, accuracy, innovation to what they're trying to create in their academic writings. I started writing a blog about how creating or building a dissertation has an effect on the human mind and emotional system because you pour so much into creating a dissertation, it actually changes your personality before, during, and after. And now with tools like AI, you perceive that the process is easier, but then you still have to read your information that your AI bot accumulated for you, make sure it matches what you're researching about and how you want to share that information. And you attach a part of your personality, a part of your mind into your dissertation because that's a part of you. So you still have to be careful how AI helps you and assists you because you don't want it to be, what's the word I want to say, sterile, or without feeling or without passion. Because when people are listening to you present your dissertation, you are passionate, you are enthusiastic, you are scared, you are, maybe doubtful, but you're still going through that process of presenting. So you don't want any hiccups from something that AI put in that's not factual. Unfortunately, we are having more PhD students examined because they are using AI. And unfortunately, some of their content and information is not accurate to what they're trying to relay in their research and development. And that can have profound effects because if you take your dissertation and you decide to turn it into a book or as a research document and other people in your field are using it to guide their research, it's unimaginable that something in error in what you created is now being used that will create false negatives or false positive results in research and development of whatever area you're researching and you're writing your dissertation about. And it will come back on you. The process now is more and more people are using, institutions are using tools to detect errors and misinformation in dissertations and research papers. And they're finding, yes, people are using AI more, but they're not going back through effectively and efficiently to find the errors. I've just been told that we've exhausted our time. Okay. Any final questions from anyone? This has been phenomenal. I mean, I really enjoyed this. Yes, teach them to rewrite in their own words. Thank you, Aida. Are there any other questions before we have to sign off? This has been a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we log off, I just want to thank Martin. I appreciate you, Martin. Very good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, so guys, any more final questions? We take a last one, then we wrap up our session. So Jennifer says, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you, Martin. And I see my name in there, so thank you, Stanley. And the L&D team.
Definitely. Thank you to the whole team for allowing me to come in and present and speak and contributing. Also, thank my wife for contributing as well. You have our LinkedIn information So reach out if you also have any questions, and we'll be happy to answer. And
Definitely.
looking forward to continuing this later on or having another session.
Yes, yes. So I see we don't have any questions coming through. I see great presentations. I see this was enlightening. So I don't think anyone has a question. So I would just want to say if you have any final words for us, Mr. Jackson, any final words so that we can wrap this up.
Okay, my final words are, and this was stated by Chinua Achebe in his writings, look at the world sometimes through a child's eyes and still embrace the wonder and the magnificence and beauty of our world. We're all, in one way or another professionals, but sometimes we have to step back and look at the world as children because, we have to have excitement and joy in this world, and that brings out our creativity. And sometimes I look at the world and as a former physical education teacher, and just enjoy your life, enjoy sharing, and my wife and I send blessings and peace to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, William. It was very exciting. It was a very insightful session, and we've really learned so much. And thank you so much for coming to the LND Africa team. And you really wanted to share what you have with us, and we really appreciate the information you've given us today. And we are going to make sure we put to use the tools you've given us. I'm definitely going to give Perplexity a try. I want to see how far that would take my research for the office, for any type of presentation I'm going to do. So thank you so much for giving us that. And we know that the future of Africa learning is looking bright because we have people like you speaking for us, speaking on our behalf, giving us the knowledge, giving us the new ideas, giving us the insights that we need. And we really appreciate it. We thank you so much. We thank you so much. Thank you so much. So guys, thank you so much for coming. We just want to leave one central thought to everyone that Africa's greatest resource is not under the ground, it's within ourselves, it's within the young people. And our imagination and the brilliance that we have is given to us, and they are the right tools to help us think creatively and beyond measure. So thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Thank you so much for your presentation, and we are going to connect with you on LinkedIn. And I see your LinkedIn. We see a link to your LinkedIn in the chat box. We'll definitely connect with you, and we are very excited to the future we have ahead. So just before we go on, I have a few announcements to make quickly. Then we are out of here. So I'm not going to take so long. I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time. I know we're going beyond 4, so just in the next 5 minutes, the announcement should be done. So yes, the next webinar. So we are planning to do this every month, just as a build up to the LND Africa Conference 2025. So the next webinar coming up is the currency of competitive advantage, that's embedding employee assistance programs into the heart of business strategy. And we have none other than Patience Oseko. And Patience is a psychotherapist, she's a wellness expert, and she's the managing director of SHMS. And we are going to have this webinar on the 26th of June, and you don't want to miss this at all. Patience is going to give us a lot of new ideas. She's going to expose us to a lot of new things that we are not privy to, just as William has done today. So you don't want to miss the next webinar coming up. They're happening on the 26th of June, same time, same place. Yes, so Zoom, same place. And I'm not too sure if it's going to be the same me. Maybe it will be me by a different me. Maybe it will be someone else. Just stick and stay tuned and look forward to the next webinar coming up on the 26th of June at the same time, 2:30 p.m. GMT. LND Africa Conference 2025, Nairobi, Kenya. We are going to Nairobi, Kenya again. You don't want to miss the conference this year, 2025. And the theme we have is Bridging the Gap, Innovative Learning for Africa. We are going there to get homegrown solutions for Africa when it comes to learning and development. You don't want to miss this year's conference. So you can reach out to us on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, any question you have regarding the conference, we will be very much ready to answer any questions you have. So these are our details. This is the email address, info@lndafrica.org. Our telephone numbers are on there. And you can visit our website for any information you're looking out for. So we're putting out the announcements for speakers. We'll be putting out more announcements for the conference. Make sure you keep going on there for any information that you want concerning LND Africa Conference 2025 and concerning LND Africa in general. Anything at all, you'll get it on our website. So you can follow us on our social media platforms. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X as well. So these are our handles for these social media platforms. Please make sure you follow us. We have all the announcements passing through there. Make sure you go on there to get any announcements you want. We also have our network platform on WhatsApp. We are going to put a link to the WhatsApp network in chat. So just join the chat. We have we have professionals from all over the continent, and we talk about issues. We have individuals organizing webinars, talking about L&D Africa issues, talking about solutions, finding new ways to address issues that keep coming up in the space of L&D. So you don't want to miss anything concerning L&D. So join the network. We have the link to the network in chat. Make sure you click on the link to join the network. And at this point, I want to say a very big thank you all. Thank you to all of you for joining the session. I want to say a very big thank you for staying with us. We want to say a very big thank you for following us. And we know we are going to have a wonderful webinar next month on 26th. And we are going to have a very wonderful webinar, a very wonderful conference, actually, 2025, Nairobi, Kenya. You don't want to miss it. Thank you all so much. We are going to drop the links to our socials. We're going to drop a link to the network in the chat box. Make sure you join us. Thank you all so much for joining this webinar, and we're looking forward to the next one. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you, everyone, and we're looking forward to the next webinar.
Thank you. Bye.